How could a God take away a girl's dad and brother from her? It's a lot. Life is not easy. It throws so many curves at us, so many challenges.
Do the right thing. But even then, that may not be enough. In many instances, that may not be enough. And when it's not enough, you just have to be strong. That's the bottom line.
I've met your kids and they're wonderful. And that's one of my questions is, well, it's just that, nature versus nurture. Like, and when I look at you interact with your children, and when I look at your children interacting with me, it's obvious. It's like 100% nurture. It's how you raise them. I think, well, you're a neurosurgeon, so you could tell me if I'm wrong, but it just feels like even if you're born in the crappiest neighborhood in Belize, as long as you have a loving mother, you have a chance, or a loving parent or a loving family. Vice versa, if you grew up somewhere nice and you have a bad parent, then things can go wrong.
Oh, 100%. I would rather be in the former situation.
I have a lot of comments. When you mentioned, I need to make sure I look at you. When you mentioned your children and you doing your best to raise them and help them make good decisions, right, when you're not present, that's so important. And like health is wealth, and materialistic things are materialistic things, but like, I just really admire that about you.
Thank you. You know, I think it's very important for people to understand this. I try and teach my kids the same. It's okay to be excluded by the cool people. It's okay, because sometimes your values are on a higher level than theirs. And it's very hard to realize that in your 20s, in your teens, in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 40s. But once you realize that with your own two hands, with your own passion, with your own good heart, you've done good in the world, you don't need to be included in the snobby crowd. I don't own a Louis Vuitton bag. I don't own any brand name bags. I probably never will. I don't see that as a good place to put my money. And by definition, I'm not in any of those crowds. I'm not part of their group. It's okay. I've done other things with my time and energy, and I respect myself for that. And I teach my kids the same. Don't fall prey to what's superficial and easy, and it just, giving into the comforts and the luxuries, and don't do that. Find a higher purpose for your time and energy.
Right, making a strong impact in this world. Mm-hmm. Earlier in our conversation, when you mentioned caring for patients and some of your patients having cancer, my oldest brother, he had DIPG, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma. He was diagnosed when he was 18 years old, and when he was 19, he passed away.
Wow.
And we weren't able to grow up together because, we shared the same dad, and he lived in Moreno Valley and I lived in Los Angeles. But I have some memories with him, and I remember when he told me, I was in 7th grade, it was like the weekend of Thanksgiving, and I just remember going like, wow, our father passed away years ago, and now my brother is ill. What is life gonna look like for me? Someone I dearly wanted to, get close to and grow a sibling bond, because it's not easy when you don't share the same parents with your siblings, but it is possible, obviously, to have a positive relationship. You just have to grow one. But my brother was very strong, and he held his spirits up high. His grandmother told me, like, when he was in the hospital and the doctor broke the news to him, my brother said, "God got me." And he was like, "I'm gonna be okay."
He was at peace with that.
And he had DIPG for about 13 months. And when I was in the 8th grade, he passed away that February. And I remember walking home with my best friend, and I told her, and she, gave her condolences to me. And after that day, I just knew like my life was going to be different in a way I couldn't really fathom. But I just knew that I needed to be stronger, even more stronger. Having an impact in this world is the most important thing that we can do. Materialistic things aren't that important. They're not. We're not taking it with us when we leave Earth. But yeah, I do have another question. How many patients do you treat who have DIPG or other like brain tumors?
A lot, actually. Last week I did, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 brain tumors. I have a lot. They come in waves. Some of them walk into my office. the ones who are not critically ill, a non-urgent situation, but many of them come in through the ER. So at the moment, I have several in the hospital who've had brain surgery and are recovering.
How many of
The DIPGs are not, most of them are not operative, but I'm talking about other types of brain tumors.
Oh, wow.
Is there a cause that is like responsible for it developing when people are younger?
You're talking about DIPG or any tumor?
Well, all.
I mean, that's a very broad question, and there are probably hundreds of variables and only a few of which we can identify. So some of them are genetic factors. Some are environmental. Some are related to other organs. People who have lung cancer are at risk for metastatic cancer to the brain, for example. So there are a ton of variables, and we haven't fully identified all of them. Once you identify them, some of them are preventable and some of them are not. So I don't think we're aware of a lot of preventable variables, unfortunately. So a lot of people get this diagnosis, and even there's some patients who've never smoked who have a diagnosis of lung cancer. That's becoming a more common phenomenon. So there isn't always a fair or logical reason as to why someone's going through that. You look at the Texas floods, was that preventable, or what could have been? I mean, unfortunately, those of us who are standing here breathing and talking are nothing less than a miracle, because any number of things could have taken us down.
I try to, thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Sometimes I try to make Kat feel better by saying, look what's happening in the world. Like, we have Israel, Gaza, we have Iran now, we have accidents. I mean, there's so much going on, and I'm so sorry this happened to you, but it wasn't your fault, it wasn't my fault, it wasn't anyone's fault. It just is. Sometimes things just are. I don't think that makes it easier for her, but yeah.
Well, because she's such a doer. She was so active. But I would say her power isn't blunted. I mean, look at what she's able to do.
Right. I totally agree. Seeing her now, seeing her blossom, seeing her have conversations with our allied forces over in Ukraine, yeah, it's quite a thing, quite remarkable. Yeah, quite proud. And you should be quite proud. It's really, yeah, it's really something. She really puts us all to shame. Yeah. You told me, I've talked to you, Dr. Farin, before, and you told me that something in the style like 9 out of 10 men leave their women when something bad happened to them. But the opposite is true, that 9 out of 10 women stay with their men when something bad happens to them. And now I'm speaking as a caregiver, where I am proud that I am the one man out of those 9 or 10 who stayed with my wife. But could you speak a little bit to why that would be for the caregivers who listen, so to speak, or what are your thoughts about it?
Well, unfortunately, some people think in very short terms and instant gratification, and it takes a huge amount of maturity and connection with the higher source. Call that love, call it purpose, call it, as we say in Hebrew, Hashem. Whatever your connection is, if you don't have that raison d'etre, then you're going to take the superficial, easy route and run out. It's unfortunate we're not raising people to understand those values in some cases. Sometimes, we're raising kids who have short-term superficial values. It's the 30-second YouTube shorts, move on to the next. You don't like it, move on. Instead of pause, wait. What is the best use of your abilities and time at this moment, even if there's an easier, more fun avenue elsewhere? What should you be doing? What is the right thing to do at the right time, even if it's not convenient?
Yeah, I thought a lot about that too, and it makes me. One thing I'm grateful for is that this journey has made me meet people like Sarah, who's very young. I'm twice her age, but she has the mental fortitude and capacity, and like an old man like me or like you. So I meet all these powerful people And that feels like a blessing. It really does. And it makes life worthwhile, so to speak. Did you have more questions on your note? Your paper?
do.
Okay.
Sorry. Was there a pivotal moment in your upbringing or like your adolescence or early adulthood that inspired you, like work in the medical industry, like work in medicine?
I wouldn't say there was a pivotal moment, but it has a lot to do with my upbringing and the family values. Now, nobody in my family is a physician, not even remotely close, zero. So there's no inspiration that I could just follow along in someone's footsteps, but I was always taught, and I grew up sort of lower middle class, definitely on the lower side. Everything was hand-me-downs. Even my brother got my hand-me-downs. Okay, the poor guy had girls' clothes. So, no, we were taught be quiet and work. There's no handouts. There's nothing for free from anybody. Get out there and work. If you can't earn it, you're not going to have it. Period. End of story. I never heard of welfare, food stamps, none of that. Never heard of it till I was into my adulthood, and I treated patients who had those means. But the point is, we're just always taught: be grateful, be quiet, work. Be quiet, work, be quiet, work, do good, do good, do good. I was never, unfortunately, I was never taught. I grew up thinking that everybody was like my family. I would say that's the unfortunate part. And I grew up very naive, not realizing that I know that a lot of people that have bad motives want to take advantage of you or want to use your skills and talents and your good nature for their purposes. I didn't know any of this until I was an adult. I thought everybody was just good natured and wanted to do good things in the world. So I would say I grew up probably too naive. But, the values that I was given naturally culminated into career in medicine because I was had a lot of energy, a lot of passion. I wanted to do good. I didn't have the physical strength to be in the military. Probably would be choice B for me if I couldn't have done medicine. So medicine was a very natural place for me to end up, given my family values. I was just always taught to do the right thing, never look down on anybody, always give somebody hope. And I compare that to some other people, other adults I know who are my age. Some of them raise very different values, heavy money-based values. Money, 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 money. That money was the most important thing to chase. And it was zero part of the discussion ever in my home, zero. So, people end up in different places. Some of those people end up having lifestyles where they can travel around the world. They don't have to work. I don't have that. I don't have those means. But through my passion, I'm able to support my family, and I have a feeling I'm going to live a longer, more productive life, and happier life because with my own two hands, I've created everything I have, and everything I have has been done from doing good for other people. That's very important. The goal was never just make money, build wealth in and of itself. That was never the goal in and of itself, even though I know a lot of people in that arena. The goal was always do good for people, and my heart was in the right place, and the Lord rewarded me that I can support my family.
It's powerful. I think most people, not most people, but, we all have different upbringings, right? And some of us have access to things starting at an early age, and some of us, like you shared, I myself, well, you can speak to it, but I didn't grow up having everything, but I had like what I needed. And I knew as well at a young age, like I need to make sure I go to school. I need to make sure I do well. And I like create a name for myself, and I discovered my passion. And my brother passing away along with my father influenced me to also do good. And as much pain and sadness and hurt I've experienced and frustration, and there was a time where I stopped like believing because I thought, how could a God take away a girl's dad and brother from her at young ages? Like, that's not fair. And I kept thinking and saying to myself, why me, why me, why me? But years later into my early adulthood, or late teen into early adulthood, I started telling myself, what is this teaching me? Like, be grateful for what I have. I have a mother, I have other siblings, I have grandparents who are there for me. I have friends, I have a community, I have an education, I have my health. I can't change my past, but I can help. But I can do my best to put myself in a good position and do good for the people, make a positive impact. and just live a fulfilling life to me. And I enjoy seeing people like healthy, doing well, doing what they love, supporting people. That matters to me. And I tell Pavel all the time when we like have conversations and we like talk about the projects we're working on, I say, hey, you know, for people who are suffering, which is most people, a lot of people are concerned about like what they're going through, and some of those folks don't have the capacity to think about other people, you know, and it's a lot. Life is not easy. It throws so many curves at us, so many challenges, ups and downs, but just having grit and doing our best to see the bigger picture and use our pain and suffering as a teaching moment, that helps us grow and become better. And I think it also helps to slowly like heal, alleviate a bit our pain. It helps us to see things differently and just continue to live the best we can. But yeah, this is a really deep conversation and I love it.
Super valuable, especially the last few seconds of what you said, having grit and seeing the bigger picture and using our pain to live our best life. Super valuable.
I agree. Yeah, that was deep.
Yeah.
That's deep. Goosebumps again. I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to, you have this absolutely unique ability to make people feel special. And I know I've mentioned this to you before, but every time you approach me, whether it was a trauma bay or a follow-up, you always look me straight in the eyes. You talk to me like I'm the only person on earth. And I'm 100% convinced that is what healed me up. I understand there's physical components to healing bones and so forth, but what you instilled in me, in my mind, just elevated me. And I want to say thank you for that. And I had the pleasure of following you around in your clinic, and then you had a microphone on and HIPAA rules and everything. I deleted it afterwards, but I did get to listen in by mistake when you met other patients. And it was such an aha moment because, wow, I'm not special. Dr. Farin is special, and she makes everyone feel special.
Just to be clear, that day in our clinic, we had permission from all the patients for you to be there. I just want to make that abundantly clear so there was no mistake. I want to make that clear and on the record. And I thank you for saying that. You know, every patients can go to any doctor they want. They choose to come to me. The least that they should deserve is my full attention and my best efforts. I will say sometimes I'm running late, and some of them get frustrated and some of them get angry. And the only reason I'm running late is because the 10 patients before them took extra time and I couldn't cut it short. So thank you for saying that. Not everybody's appreciative. And I remember you came to my clinic one time with the biggest, most beautiful bunch of white lilies I have ever seen, ever. And it just swept me off my feet. It was so beautiful. And it was just, it just made me feel so appreciated because we don't get that a lot. Believe it or not, we sometimes see patients in the worst moments, and there isn't always gratitude. And I can't thank you enough as a physician. Physicians have a very high rate of burnout, but something like that every few years keeps us going. So thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you. And you empowering me, just know that it's sort of like you have a legacy that's huge, but you empowering me has helped me empower other people. And I see that. I see how I've become strong mentally and physically, very much to say thank you to you. It started there. I know where it started. It started in the trauma bay by you saying, be strong, and then be strong for Kat. Because that's where I gave up my old self and became a new self. And it sounds all fushy and foo-foo, but it is true though. That is where the new Pavel started. So
you don't owe me anything. Your gratitude is, bounds and bounds above what I deserve. But I hope you can be there for other people in your situation. That's who needs it the most.
any final question from you before we let Dr. Farin leave?
One more question. What was the best piece of advice like you received when you started your early career that helped you that helps you successfully care for patients? Like, did you have a mentor, anyone that helped guide you a bit as you were working your way up?
I want to add advice. Any advice? Yeah.
In medicine in particular?
Yeah, and career, just life in general, that's helped you to be strong at what you do and lead confidently and and be where you're at.
Role models, right? Yeah.
Or a role model.
Yeah.
I've been blessed. I've had a lot of role models. Not that anybody signed up to be my role model, but whenever I identify somebody who's very good at something that I'd like to be better at, from a very young age, from the time I was a teenager, I would latch onto them, not like latch on physically, but utilize every data point I could about this person to shape who I became. And this goes from my pediatrician when I was a little tiny kid all the way up to, the customers that would come in. My parents ran a deli when I was a kid, and I was the cashier as a kid. And I would help these customers, and I would learn, okay, this is what Americans do. This is the American way. I would latch on to every little detail about them, what they wore, what they read, just so I could become successful in this society. So whoever God put in my path, I would always learn the most that I could. I often tell my kids, you can learn a lot even from a tree. So even if somebody wasn't necessarily a my assigned mentor or didn't take time to sit with me, observing them, so many details. And I would say probably the most important, you could distill it into the main lesson I learned from all of these interactions was do the right thing. But even then, that may not be enough. In many instances, that may not be enough. And when it's not enough, you just have to be strong. That's the bottom line.
Wow. Goosebumps. I think that's, speaking to camera, I think that's, I wish we had 2 more hours with you, but this is fantastic. Those are great words. And I think all three of us live by it, being strong. We've all gone through stuff. Anything else you want to say to us, Dr. Farin, that you would like us to spread, so to speak?
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for your trust and confidence. It means a lot to me. And I would like the audience to know, please, within yourself, harness your inner strength to do the right thing at the right time, even if it's not convenient. And finally, I would ask that people reserve judgment and not be judgmental. When we see somebody, we may look at them and think, oh, well, they look like this, or they appear that way, or this is going on. Do not assume. You don't know what their challenges are. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what the reasons are. Do not assume. Be open to a belief that may be different than yours. You don't know the full facts. That's all I ask.
With that being said, I hadn't seen my mom for 6 years because I think I assumed a lot of things. Her not being able to help after the accident, but we met in Spain. It took her 6 years to apologize to me, and I apologized to her. And I think both sides assume too many things. So yes, you're right.
We all do that. I do it myself. It's just a natural, easy place to be because we want to make it simplistic and sort of boil it down to patterns that you can just plug people into. But people are much more complex than that. And I would say that about geopolitical events as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree. 100%. You get one more chance. Anything last? Not too deep. We got to go.
Thank you for your time. Super grateful to be here with you today. From the moment I met you, like PAVEL shared, how you were so important to him and Kat, and being able to talk to you and those few words you shared with me, it meant everything. And I'm just grateful to be in your presence, and thank you for what you do for the people in this world, for many communities. Thank you for advocating and caring for people, and thank you for being you.
I really appreciate your kind words. Thank you.
All right. We'll say cut. All right, it's amazing. That was amazing. Team picture.